So let's do one of those news things, shall we? Around the league, and the interesting article is the one at the top. Jeff Carter may find himself on his way out of town in LA, potentially. But Carter loves playing in LA, which is what was said on TSN. Bob McKenzie and Per LeBrun reporting on this. That only Kopitar and Doughty are seen as untouchable. So there is some question about whether or not Jonathan Quick might find himself heading out of LA. And if Carter gets traded, he loves LA enough that he could retire. He's got a backdiving contract, and what that means is that while the cap hit stays up, he only gets paid, I think, $2 million next year, and I think it's $1 million the year after. It's something like that. But if he retires, there's a penalty that then gets paid by LA that they'd have a cap hit of $3.75 million for the next 3 years if he retired this summer. That tells me that Kings won't trade him. Not going to be worth it. And with the amount of points and goals being put up by Carter right now, I don't know that he'd have much value on the market. I think his market value right now would be kind of low. But I do think guys like, I think Muzzin could end up going. That's the big name. But, you know, the problem for LA right now is this. They're a team that's known for being older and being kind of slower. And this is a league that's younger and faster. So somebody's going to be making deals with them, trying to, like, it's a balance, right? And the idea that Kopitar and Doughty are the only untouchables, does that mean Kopitar is going to be the only guy left, and that Kovalchuk could find himself out of work? That's the weird thing, that Kopitar could be the one forward left out of this whole thing. And the Brown's not included on the list is kind of a surprise to me as well, because Dustin Brown's been pretty solid since his return. But again, with that contract, would LA say, yeah, Brown's great for us, but with that contract, if somebody will take it, that'd be awesome. Matt Zuccarello, there's been rumors about him waiting for a trade. He has come out and said, no, I want to stay with the New York Rangers. I do not want out of New York. And why would he? He's had tremendous success there. But for the Rangers, it's simply a matter of the turnover and committing to the rebuild. While they're still in the running for a playoff spot, and they certainly could make the playoffs this year, I don't get the feeling that Rangers management has changed their focus from, we are in the midst of doing this turnover with the roster, and I don't think that's going to be stopped, even if this team has a shot at finishing as high as second in the division. I think they're committed to making sure that it's sustainable going forward, not just okay, let's do it this year. Columbus is definitely all in for this year, I think. If they're not, I think they will be. Because for them, the importance of at least winning a round is huge. If there wasn't bad news for Mike Green, there wouldn't be Mike Green news to report. And, you know, he's having a solid season, but now he's out for the next 3 to 5 weeks with a lower body injury. Injuries galore with this guy. And then, you know, he was having a good season for Detroit. And it's a gut punch to Detroit, who've had problems with their blue line being healthy for a great portion of this season. The fact that they're 14-14-4 right now, with how beat up their blue line's been at points, you kind of get the same feeling with Detroit as what some people have argued with Vancouver, that if not for injuries, Vancouver would be in the playoffs or in a better position. And Detroit fans would make the same argument about their blue line. If this blue line had been healthy all year, you might have been able to avoid some of those losses, and we might be seeing them as high as one of the wild card spots right now. Stastny's back tonight for the Vegas Golden Knight, but Pacioretty's out. They're saying it's not a big injury. It's not a big deal. He's just out tonight. Could be back next game. They're saying it's no big deal. Stastny coming back in the lineup should be interesting, because where does he play? And what is that going to do for the chemistry? This is a team that, you know, he only played 3 games at the start of the year and got hurt. No points, and it looked like it was going to be a disastrous season already for Vegas at the 3-game mark. Bringing him back, what is that going to do to the chemistry? Because the chemistry on each line has been pretty fantastic. So I'll be interested to see where they play him, and if that changes in game. If he starts out on, say, the 3rd line and bumps himself up by the end of the game, or what they're going to do there. We always hear lose for Hughes, so I thought I'd go ahead and do the tank update. These are teams 28, 29, 30, and 31 in the standings. So the Kings, the Hawks, the Devils, and the Blues have the best chance right now of winning the draft lottery. And it, of course, and I pointed this out in the preview video this morning, New Jersey's only 6 points out of the playoffs. Whereas these teams are all in double digits out of a playoff spot. So I don't know that New Jersey out of these 4 teams is one that's committed to we're going to see what happens with the draft lottery kind of season. But I think for LA and Chicago, the writing's on the wall, and for St. Louis, very, very frustrating season. They were not expected to be in the running for this. Ian Scott has signed his entry-level contract with the Leafs. He's a good goaltender, and we'll see what happens with him. I'm pretty sure he's playing in the World Juniors. There's a World Juniors video in the offing. Jan Ruda cleared waivers for the Chicago Blackhawks, so down to the minors he goes. And it's been a pretty deep decline for him. I think steep decline, I should say, for him. He was highly thought of not that long ago, and now he's been waived. Nobody touched him, and he's in the minors. And finally, the Vancouver Canucks, Petrus Palmu returns to Finland. He had 1 point in 12 games for Utica. He was not being utilized, healthy scratch at times, and sat down with management, and they agreed that the best thing for his game is for him to return home and try to get his confidence back. So my biggest concern with Palmu was that I wasn't sure that at that size, I didn't know that his game would necessarily work on North American ice. And I think we're still a ways out from finding out. And I understand he's built like, fire hydrants, the term that I kept seeing with him, but it just didn't look like it fit with Utica. If he has another year like this next year, let's say next year he comes over and has a half-decent training camp but gets cut, ends up in Utica, he's not being used very much, I would think the Canucks would look at moving him. I don't know that there's any trade value with him right now. I don't know that the Canucks necessarily would have looked at that now. I think the Canucks want to give it some more time. But he is 21 years of age, next year 22, and at some point you have to say, all right, we're gonna move on. Watch for Palmu to end up with Tampa and somehow have a dynamite career. That he seems like that kind of guy. That he's going to be underutilized in one spot, go to Tampa, and just take off. So anyways, there you go. News of the day. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you think gets moved out of LA first? What do they get back? All this talk about there's going to be a lot of movement potentially before the trade freeze on the 19th. It's not looking like that right now. It's looking like the roster freeze is already in effect for the most part, other than the guys getting called up and sent down. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.